Well, welcome to East Meets West, and today I have no stranger, our special coach and my coach. And I told him I'll introduce him my own way. And for short, Kez. And yes, he's my coach. I did made a commitment that beginning of this year I would start kickboxing with Kez. And Kez is amazing in what he does, and we even have some video to show you of some of the work that we do. But today we're going to talk a lot on nutrition, exercise, balance, especially for all the busy lifestyles that we have right now. And I am guilty of that. And Kez maybe want to scold me right now for my inconsistency and sometimes due to traveling. But yes, we're going to talk about these aspects in longevity and how, balancing all of this, maybe also some of the perspectives that are out there and how we get caught up in all of the belief system that we might need to start changing if we want to have a healthier and more balanced life per se. But Kez is the expert in this, and I do appreciate, Kez, that you come in on board again and sharing your wisdom with us. And yes, Kez has his book out there too, Go for Glory. Yeah, and anyway, Kez will tell you some more about himself and what he's doing presently, and some of the things he's involved in, and also how you can benefit from what he does. But today, do tune in as we talk on your lifestyle, talk about how, you know, you can be more effective too as a leader, effective in whatever sphere you're leading in because of health and how you can balance that. So, Kez, please do share a little bit more. I know I just give a little gist about you, but please do share a little bit more about yourself and some of the things you're working on right now.
Thank you once again, Shanti, for having me. It's my pleasure. Currently, we're at a new location, as you are aware, because you started out, and I must commend your efforts. Yes, you've been busy, and your inconsistencies, which has been very few, they're totally understandable because you're a busy leader, coach, someone that is a mentor and a guide, and you're living a life of adaptability. Many people would say, you need balance, but when you put it into perspective, balance, it has its place and its time, but for the most part, we need to be more adaptable to succeed. So there are times that you will do more of some things, and other times you may not do more of those things. And it comes in, full circle. Just an example of that. There'll be times, like if you're a person that you just started a family, you will spend more time with your children, your husband, your wife, and then there'll be other times that you will break away. For example, your children reach teenage years when they have a certain level of independence and autonomy. And they wouldn't need you and I at that time as when they were toddlers. So at that time, you adapt to that new phase and stage of life. And it's the same when it comes to fitness, nutrition, and overall health. And from the perspective of longevity, which needs to be defined. I mean, people can live long, but if you live long and your life is unfulfilled, if you live long and unhealthy lives or an unhealthy life, then still your satisfaction would be limited or meager. So the perspective of longevity that I come from or I'm looking at and trying to coach and educate and indoctrinate people to live by is one that is one of long life with good health. So to do that, there's certain transformational habits that we all need to adopt. And those go along with, the habits of how to eat and exercise, not only physical exercise, but also mental and spiritual exercises that would expand your capabilities. So from that perspective, that's where our coaching at top end performance training systems, that's the angle that we've taken on and would be running with in the next 5 to 10 years and beyond.
That is interesting. I know that we had many conversations even before we started this, is that some of us are so busy and we want fast fixes to maybe our health, maybe our weight, maybe, some aspect. And I guess this is what the world has programmed us now to be, that everything be done fast. And
Very true.
times that does not worked out well for all of us. And but I know we spoke a little about that, so let's talk about the nutrition aspect of how do we care our bodies per se, and maybe some of the things you're noticing and some of your recommendations that you also coach others on in the nutrition aspect.
Great question and insight also into what we are really focused on. You mentioned the fast-paced lifestyle and the quick fix outlook on the problems that we in the modern world now face. Our approach has significantly changed from when I first started out in the fitness arena. Our approach first was very performance based, but now it's totally different. Our approach towards health and wellness now is one where we really take a long-term approach. And when it comes to nutrition, eating for health span requires not eating for energy right now or eating to satisfy your taste buds. So if you eat to satisfy your taste buds, more than likely people will eat aggressive foods. In Ghana now, we're moving to what we would call a first world society. Where we have KFC, and I think places like there's a new coffee space. Oh, it doesn't come to mind right now. Starbucks, yes, Starbucks. And KFC, Starbucks, Cinnabon, and I don't know if McDonald's are coming, but Burger King is here, Pizza Hut. Now these aggressive foods, what they have done to us is, in many ways, import what I call the American lifestyle in our local atmosphere. Now, the high sugars, high fat, high salt, very spicy foods that they promote and sell. What has happened because of our indulgence now is the importing of their diseases now is besetting Guyana. Obesity is on the rise. I think just a few weeks ago, Newsroom published an article that said over 50% of our children in Guyana are overweight. And recently, they've said our obesity levels have significantly risen in the last 5 to 10 years among men and women. To curb that, to arrest that, we need to shift in how we look at nutrition. We need to shift to not quick fix diets and diet sheets, but to habits-based lifestyle or changes in our lifestyle that will cause us to aggressively change those results that have become now or started to become normal. Let me give you just a brief insight into what I'm talking about. I'm sure people have been that, in your circle, Shanti, leaders have been exposed to intermittent fasting. And most have been using it for weight loss. But beyond weight loss, which is primarily how we look on the outside, fasting has benefits beyond that. Fasting changes how you function internally. Fasting has been proven to improve productivity on the job. So if you go through periods of, for example, say 16 hours of not eating most foods, you can drink teas, some people drink coffee during that period of time. What has been happening, and this is across the planet, persons that fast produce more on the job. Persons that use intermittent fasting have better hormonal health. And today, hormonal health or ill health has beset the world over, so much so that it has affected fertility among women and men. Low testosterone levels among men has been, like in the last 20 years, greater than it has been in the last 150 years. And this has affected productivity, creativity, enthusiasm. It's affected how men and women reproduce. And if we don't continue to reproduce, eventually on the planet we'll have less humans. And that will be a problem that we will face later on if we don't change and adopt these new habits. Outside of intermittent fasting, eating stress adaptive foods. Today we eat processed foods. We don't eat fresh foods from the soil as we used to when the society was more agrarian. Now, when I say stress adaptive foods, some may ask, what are you talking about? Simple foods like ginseng, ginger. Some people are very au fait and knowledgeable now of the benefits of turmeric. Foods that are root foods, like yams. In Ghana, we know of eddos and sweet potatoes. Foods that are like, sarsaparilla. And in Ghana, we have the names of foods that, across the Caribbean, it's not so popular. But in Ghana, like monkey ladder, carpadula, granny backbone. These foods that grow in difficult conditions or highly stressful environments, when we consume it, it bulletproofs us to the stress or the stressors of our modern world. So consuming those foods, drinking green tea, teas that like peppermint tea, chamomile tea that even calms you down, that affects the central nervous system in ways that allow you to deal with the stress of everyday, environs that we have. These are things that are essential today to enhance how you work, to enhance how you deal with the troubles that have, become normal to us, and how you adapt. These are things now that we have to deliberately and systematically use to help us each and every day. Let me just give you one more thing. There is something called moringa. Moringa, it's known as the drumstick tree or the miracle plant. In Asia and Africa, it has been used for centuries. Now, the Western world has become aware of it, and what they have done, they've begun to plant it on, mass scales so that they can distribute it to address the needs of the moment. But the miracle plant has been used for fertility, it has been used for energy, it has been used as uh, what I would call an aphrodisiac for centuries. And now it's becoming mainstream again. Like Iris C. Moss, that I think some of the modern doctors are talking about now, like Dr. Peter Atta and even the Dr. Sebi that people talked about years ago. Doctors like Dr. David Sinclair that is promoting fasting. Doctors like Neil Bernard that is promoting fasting and nutrition to fight diabetes or to help diabetics overcome diabetes. These are things that are now being used to help us increase performance at work and in everyday life, and also to fight diseases and ill health that have now become normal in our societies. So now our approach is one that is adaptive to the very lifestyle that we have, and with the goal of changing the lives of our, those clients that we serve and those that we impact and influence to enhance their health and wellness beyond today towards longevity.
I honestly think that it's a really interesting point in life I think we're at. I don't know, maybe long ago, unless I have some research, but this is my opinion. Yes, we had many diseases and what's not previously, but now to me it wasn't so rampant in young people per se.
I agree.
Until now that we have so many, different disease, maybe even new ones all coming up now. But even with you talking about diabetics and these many of the people that are diabetic are people that are very young and
Very true.
a heart problem and all these different things you used to hear in older age people, but now it's and I think what you're saying is indeed so important that we look at how are we eating, because long ago those people didn't used to eat certain things and they weren't exposed to certain things, as a matter of fact. And I've learned something, not because you can afford it, that you go feel like, and forgetting that your body, if you don't take care of it, then how long is it gonna last? And so what you're saying is so important, that we understand what we're putting into our bodies. And for me, I can honestly say that when, like, I sometimes we are at a stage in life that we could be in denial too, that these are things happening, but we just ignore it. And like for me, if I eat too much flour, I really feel lethargic. And then I changed my diet to start having oats in the mornings instead. Though it might sound boring, and some people, oh, that don't have no taste, but I usually put a whole set of different, like nuts and cranberry or something, other things to make it up, and but fruits also to make it tasty. But after I got accustomed to it, but then I don't feel that kind of lethargic feeling that I usually got when I have a flour-based some food, whether it's bread or whether it's pancakes or roti or something along that line. It's something just simple little switching out from your routine, what you're doing, then to realize, this was something that was hindering me all the time, and we might be in that stage of not, or this unconscious state that this our food that we're eating is causing us not to have energy, and we want to be performing, we want to be alert, and all of that.
Right, right.
Well, for me, I can honestly say when I exercise, for the week, I feel more energetic. I feel more alert. And if I eat properly too, it's a total different feelings that you get. And sometimes you didn't even know that feelings existing until you
Mm.
change in what you're doing. And so what I'm saying is, I think people really need to hear that maybe looking at what you're putting in right now and switching out, not drastically changing anything. That's not what I'm saying, but to start looking maybe at what you're eating per se and being conscious or alert to what you're eating on a daily basis.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things you mentioned there about incremental change, I was just actually in the last 24 hours listening to my Mind Valley coach. And one, what we've embraced the idea that incremental change is actually better. But the truth is, if you really look at your own life and you use reflection, your greatest transformation takes place usually because of crisis and drastic change. And we're at a stage and a place in history, and I'm speaking for the human family, particularly in the Western world, where there should be a greater sense of urgency when it comes to dealing with the health or ill health crisis across the planet. Now, why do I say that? You mentioned earlier, and I think we totally agree, disease is running rampant like never before. Now, some people say, okay, good, we're living longer lives. Who? Who we? I mean, if you study the different cultures across the planet, the Chinese culture, the Indian culture, and the African cultures, people live longer. It is much different when you talk about the Europeans, and when they, had certain, for example, in the Middle Ages, when there was the bubonic plagues, they died out. But the Eastern world, the people were living longer lives. When you look at the sages, the spiritual men and women, yes, there were ills of those societies that the modern world has solved and enhanced. But also, when you put it into perspective, there's been some trade offs. Let us look at yoga. How useful was yoga and how useful it is today? You talk about people waking up with low energy. When you practice yoga in the morning and breath control, and if you study the people of Okinawa, some of the longest living people on the planet now, they wake up early and they exercise in a community setting. They do deep breathing. They do slow exercise, muscle activation. They squat every day. They do holds like push-up holds and squat holds. And these simple movement patterns have allowed them. For example, if you're a gardener, you stoop down and you touch the soil. Most people today don't even touch the soil. We live a life where people, they tell their children, why you went outside today without your shoes? But when you touch the soil, it's called grounding. When you touch the soil with your hands, do you know that there is a bacteria that goes into the skin, that gets past the blood-brain barrier, that causes you to release serotonin and melatonin, that makes you feel good and sleep well. Well, these simple things that we have gone away from in the concrete, um, some people say concrete jungles, but I think it was Mark Twain who said, we don't live in concrete jungles. We are building zoos for humans to live in. And when you look at how the third world now is taking on what they call the first world outlook of everything, we're moving away from the natural ways that enhance our lives, and we're destroying our ecology. So now, where we touch the plants every day, now we're touching walls, we're touching gadgets, cell phones, we're touching the cosmetic foods, not real foods, refined foods like biscuits and chips. And the artificial is taking the place of the original. Let us talk a little bit about how exercise really can change and transform lives, and why we have adopted even like combat fitness. You mentioned you do kick fit today, and I think combat fitness is transformational in this sense. If you look at the cultures where people use martial arts, people live longer, people stay leaner, they stave off what we have come to embrace as onset aging. Men like Silver Fox in the old Chinese movies, they grow old and they stay fit and well. Impact combat fitness serves more than one purposes. Number one, for women. And for women in Ghana, I think women need to learn more combat activities. How to defend yourself. Someone throw a punch. Can you block and then retaliate appropriately? Yes, it's needed. In a society where something that we can talk about later on, abuse is so much, it's immediately a defense against that. Also for men, when you strike at something, it has an effect on the endocrine system, which is hormonal, testosterone. And women will say, oh, I don't need testosterone. No, women need testosterone. The most prevalent hormone in women today is not estrogen, it's not progesterone, it's actually testosterone. When a woman's hormonal levels are, properly balanced, and she has the right amount of estrogen and testosterone, she's leaner, stronger, more energetic, more creative, more alert, more aware every single day. So this is why we're promoting our Kick Fit program. And you yourself, Shanti, can give testimony that since you started this, you're looking younger, stronger, faster, fitter. Now, that's what I am saying. But you can say for yourself, what results have you gotten? Since you've been doing more muscle training, Dr. Gabriel Lyon, in the last 10 years, I think, has been the #1 advocate, and now Dr. Peter Atta, for muscle as medicine. Muscle as medicine. They found during the COVID-19 crisis, according to the British Medical Journal, and, excuse me, the American heart, if I recall correctly. I know for sure the journal of the British Medical Journal and the American Heart Association, or I think it's the American Diabetic Association, that persons that lift weights or do resistance training, they release something called myokines and also killer cells within the first 20 minutes of exercise that fight viruses, that arrested viruses. And there was up to 84% more effective in the fight against viruses than any drug or medical intervention that was used across the planet. But why not promote strength training? Not being a bodybuilder, but training for strength. And muscle is medicine. Muscle fights, when you keep your muscles, you age more youthfully. And a woman could easily tell us that this is true more than men, because women lose muscles faster than men. When a woman's strength trains, she looks younger longer. And again, I'm not advocating women being bodybuilders, which is much, much harder to do. But just lifting weights and using resistance in training, you stay younger longer. You're able to fight onset aging much longer. You're able to balance and stabilize. For example, stand on one leg. If you can't stand on one leg for 15 to 30 seconds, if you focus, you need muscle or resistance training. When you do kick fit and you lift up one leg and kick, a good push kick or a roundhouse, you're standing on one leg. If you see Shanti spin kick, you know that this is someone that has moved from being sedentary to being physically active, and her eyes are more alert. When she speaks now, compare when she spoke 10 months ago, she has more charisma and more energy. Why? Just because of more muscle, more training, or greater commitment to being consistent. So these things that make up what we call a holistic lifestyle, these are things that are needed more for leaders and for all men and women and children too, to be able to perform every day in the lives that we live and lead. So those are just some thoughts on nutrition and the approach beyond nutrition, adding exercise and specific exercises that would be beneficial.
I do recall too that you were sharing some little exercise that I can do while traveling, and
yes,
I do honestly believe though that personally, what exercise does for my body, I can testify to that. And so this is about trying to promote anything, but I'm saying to why we're doing these programs is to help our people to have a different mindset. And I do believe our thinking, our whole aspect of critical thinking, everything also gets on a different level when we are exercising. And the alertness, everything that you might be looking for, especially for high performers too. They want to know that seeing you performing and even keep doing better and all of that. And so to get to that stage is that sometimes we do forget that we need to eat properly. We forget that to put aside time for exercise and all of that. And as I said, that was a commitment that I've made that beginning this year here, I am going back to the gym. And I need someone to work with me to get me back. Not as you said, it's not about getting this kind of body, or it is nothing about that for me. It's about me. I want to be able to be energized all the time, and especially, serving people, that you're bringing
Mm-hmm.
energy in the room, and you're able to actually be present when you're with someone, and you're not feeling sleepy, you're not your mind wandering, but you're in control of you. And I think that part of it is so important, that we all talk about being able to achieve more in life. And I know this could go in a different direction to talking, and
Mm-hmm.
they have their own perspective. The idea is that how can you be more productive in what you're doing, whether it's work, at home, whatever it is. Are you living a fulfilled life? And a fulfilled life is just not about, okay, I'm working and get a whole lot of money and do it, but fully, if you don't have the health and the strength and what's needed to do those things, would it even matter in the end? Right? And so enjoying life and living fulfilled life for me comes with also this aspect of your eating and how you're taking care of your health. And you talk about mental health too. And I think even with your eating, all of that affects your mental health, and your exercising and all of that.
I totally agree with you, Shanti. And I'm happy that you touched on mental health, because in the sports world, that's a hot topic right now. Everyone is talking about mental health. But again, diet. And when I say diet, I don't mean keto diet, Atkins diet, and all the diets that people have been using. I mean the approach to optimal health through eating. When you do the right things, your mental space, it's clearer, and you automatically, you'll be more confident. When you align, usually if you align your thinking with your actions, you create congruence. When you know that you're an honest, committed, disciplined, focused person, you have an aura that comes upon you that it's transformational. When you touch a room, you know, and you part your lips and speak, it oozes from you because you're congruent. You're a person that you're aligned with your purpose. But mental health is jeopardized when you don't align your habits, your disciplines, your focus. When you don't align the way you think or the things you know with application. One of my spiritual mentors, Ben Israel, once said, knowledge not applied quickens death. And death is a result of when there is a breakdown of discipline, when there is a breakdown of commitments to what you know, or when you're unable to commit to things because of ignorance. You're unable to make sound decisions that affect your results. So mental health is affected by how you eat. It's affected by your rest. Everyone knows you should sleep adequately, and today we neglect it because some gurus said sleep is for the weak. But now we use the same words to counter that by saying we need balance. And I mentioned earlier that we need to be more focused on being adaptable. Because in the early stages of laying the foundation of your life, you may sleep less so that you can do the work that's necessary, because that's the human experience to get to a certain stage. But thereafter, you have to implement the disciplines that will make you become a balanced person. And then you'll have that mindset that will help your health, because you know you're committed to your commitments. Like I think Les Baum, he's the one that said, be committed to your commitments. Now, when we buy into the idea that we're high performers and we're not role models, but another one of my mentors, called Mikhail Ben Levi, he said, today we need real models. When you commit to being a real model, you will model the way in action, not only in words. And because you're a person that you're action oriented, along with how you speak and how you, some people may say preach, I would say teach, you will align all your thoughts along with the things you do and the things that you tell others to do and inspire leaders to do, so that the leaders you inspire would inspire other leaders. That's the ultimate or the pinnacle of being the highest servant human being that you could become. Because we all were placed on this planet not for our, and this is in my own opinion and my own estimation of what we are, what we were put here to do. We're put here to serve the interests of others, not our own interests. But it starts out by first demonstrating that you can lead yourself, as John Maxwell, coach, or Papa John, as people say, modeled and teaches, that you start with leading yourself, the leader within. Then you go beyond leading yourself to impacting and influencing those that give you permission to lead them. And thereafter, more persons are impacted and influenced beyond who you see and touch immediately. And the ultimate, service is, can you lead others that lead others? And then life becomes transformational and it multiplies in a way that gives you fulfillment and deep satisfaction that go beyond what people call dough or money today. So, in a nutshell, being a high performer, being someone that leads in a way that's transformational, it starts with developing these habits and traits of the successful, and you modeling these ways so that others can be able to see and thereafter do.
The leader has to know the way, go the way, show the way.
For sure.
And so, this whole aspect about your health, physical, mental, all aspect, I honestly believe everything is related. And it comes back to in how we see it, how we're going to treat it. I do know that there are a lot of talk right now about, health-wise and exercise, diet. You soon, all on the social media, you open something, you see something, some ad on something or the other. But so it's worldwide. I would say they're talking about exercise and diet, but it's not something new. And what we're saying here today, it's not anything new per se, though I learned one or two new things from Kez about some of these names that he called it, plant-based product that is grown here in Ghana. But yeah, I don't even know some of those things. But yes, we're new to you. But many of what we're saying is not new. The importance of exercise and the importance of eating healthier and all of that is not anything new. And yet we ignore it. We ignore this and we just continue life, and life just happens to us instead of we actually taking control of what we want life to be looking like. And I do want to challenge people why we are having Kez again, because it's so important that you take this time out to maybe reflect on your day, your week, how much you're inputting to having physical exercise per se of that time. How much is it allotted for that? And when is it that you're allotting it, in the morning, in the evening? You know, when is there a time where you could say, well, this is for me to be active? Because like myself, many of us, our work is more on sitting, and so all day you're pretty much sitting in front of a computer or in a meeting or something or the other. And so where's the physical part getting into play here? And so it sometimes, like for me, you need to keep reminding yourself that does it worth it? That, in the end, you develop some kind of situation that you could have avoided if created time during these years of making sure that you are active in something, right? And also what you're eating, because sometimes I've noticed, it's easy to, okay, let me just buy something, and because you're so busy, let me just munch on something and get something in my stomach, right? And so we do things like that without thinking, how is this affecting us? And I know you talk also about water, and I'm so guilty of that. I've done so many things. I put a water on my desk all day to just I need to drink more water. And so, things like that, we take so much for, our skin and all of that, we get dry skin or this problem, that not realizing that the things that we are doing or not doing is causing these things. So taking a time out to reflect and listen to this video here with Kez and all the things that he spoke about, and what you can start doing, what little can you start doing so that you could be more healthier, and being able, we talk about confidence, and I think of that aspect of it, that when you feel good, you become more confident, and also you're able to make better decisions. So think along that line, what you might be, neglecting right now in your life that may need some tweeting. And yes, you can call Kez. So I'm gonna ask Kez maybe to give a little detail about him, how you can contact him too, and maybe get a coaching session that can help you with your in this aspect of your exercising or your diet or what you might need help with before we close the program. So Kez, you wanna share how people can maybe join my kickboxing class or any one of your other programs that you have running?
Currently, we can't accept any more persons in the Kickfit program, which I'm happy to say is currently filled. And we have a few folks on a waiting list. We're due to have some new equipment coming in pretty soon. So then we'll restart the advertisement for the Impact Combat Fitness. But to help persons that find it difficult to get started, or some people say to be motivated to get started on a health and wellness or fitness improvement journey. Number one, get around people that are doing the things you want to do on a consistent basis. If you're in the environment where persons, they're committed to working with a coach, working on their health through eating well, who has already dialed in the good habits of proper hydration, discipline with sleep, and even discipline with mental training and learning. If you go around those persons, in one of John Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, he pointed out that the law of environment is crucial for transformational change. Not incremental change, but massive transformation. If you want to change, you need to go to an environment that is conducive to helping you go through the changes you desire. Have someone hold you accountable. That is why it's crucial that you hire a coach. Everyone should have a coach. Even though I'm a strength and conditioning coach, I have more than one coaches that give me guidance and training. Why? If I coach myself, I will do what I love to do. I wouldn't do what I need to do. So hire a coach, and everyone needs a coach. And I think one of the best persons that broke down the need for coaching by everyone today who wants to excel is Dr. Atul Gawande. And he's one of the most known surgeons that actually represent the World Health Organization. He wrote a book called The Checklist Manifesto. He hired a coach after being one of the best in the world at being a surgeon. And when he hired a coach, he still was making mistakes while performing surgeries. For example, when you're doing a surgery or a surgical procedure, you're supposed to keep your hands down and relax. His coach found that ever so often, while doing surgery, he would lift up his arm like this. For some reason, a coach observed him, and within a year, he improved, and he was saving more lives. He wasn't losing, or making mistakes, because surgeons do make mistakes. But it was significantly reduced because he got someone that held him accountable to the goals and decisions that he made prior to, stepping in to a particular duty or service. So those are some things you need to do, or you can do, to get started and stay motivated. To contact me or my team, you can go to Top End Guyana on Facebook, or Kez Top End, or Top End Guyana on Instagram. And also you can reach out via our WhatsApp, which is on 600-0305, or another contact, our nutrition coaching number is 609-1981. That's my wife, and she deals and helps women who has hormonal issues like PCOS and endometriosis. Today, that's a crucial area of need that she's decided to help persons in. So her number is 609-1981, and mine is 600-0305, as well as Top End Guyana on Facebook, or Top End Guyana on Instagram, and Kez Top End on Instagram. You can access myself there, our coaching team, so you can get help. And we have a physical location, which is in the Giftland Mall, to be specific, the back building and the top floor in the executive fitness studio. So there you can find us and make contact at any time to help you as you continue, or use, if you want to get started on a health and wellness journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Kez. Thank you so much for your time too. And the whole goal is to have a healthier nation. And we have healthy people, then we have a better nation and a more wealthier nation, I would say. And the mindset also for people is going to be something different if we are all healthier or thinking. Kez, again, thank you very much. And, we don't need to actually just have, some strenuous kind of workout, but something to start with. So maybe call Kez, get some idea of what you can do to get you on a program or get you start in something that will get you more healthier. And that's our whole goal. Please do share this video with anyone that can benefit, and also leave your comments for Kez or questions for Kez below here this video, and he will also respond to you. If I can answer any of your question where health is related, I will also respond, but Kes will definitely be glad to answer any questions that you may have. So do share the video, and also we look forward to seeing you in our next session. Kes, again, thank you, and we do look forward for you keep coming and add these golden nuggets to us and help us also to get into a frame of mind of being more healthier. So thank you again, and
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. So let's continue to stay healthy and be healthy.